Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen, to all of you out there. I don't know what time you're watching this, but welcome to episode 16 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. Today, we will be discussing purpose. It's something we've covered a lot in previous videos, but I feel like it's a very big topic that definitely needs its own video. But before we jump into that, we got an experience that we got to talk about. What experience is that?
Oh, the car show.
There you go. We went to the Vancouver Auto Show after what? I think it's been like 5 years since it's gone on. I think, yeah, because 2019. Dude, COVID was 5 years ago. That's kind of crazy.
That's a very long time.
insane. But yeah, so it's been shut down since 2019. But we went this year. What you give your thoughts on it?
Listen, first that was my first time going, so I thought it was kind of crazy. Like I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. There was a lot of interesting stuff there, and also maybe next year when I go, I'll talk to even more people. Like I did talk to a fair amount of people at the booths and stuff like that, and it's always cool to meet people in your niche. I guess it's nice to see people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in. You know, like it's less meaningful if it's just you doing something. For example, if you really like painting, or no, let's say you really like a show. Let's say you really like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, for example. If you have nobody to talk about that show with, it's kind of boring, you know?
Yeah, because like it feels like you don't really get to. Well, that's why one thing in school that I actually really like is group discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Because like everybody thinks it's like the most corny answer when like a teacher's like, "Oh, why do we discuss things?" It's so we can hear each other's ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But when you really boil it down, that's actually such a cool thing to see the way that other people think and the way that other people view things. And that's such a big thing in nowadays society is that everybody's viewing things in a different way. It's a big thing we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And like artists, for example, will draw a pic or paint a painting. That seems like a weird sentence, paint a painting. But sometimes artists will do that and they have a vision in mind as how they want it to look. And then when they look at it, they'll see it, okay, this is what I meant when I made this exact brushstroke. This is what I thought. This was my intention. But then everybody else sees it and they'll be like, oh, okay, maybe the artist thought this. So now they're kind of almost redesigning the image.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can talk to the artist and be like, hey, this is what I thought about your thing. It's like, oh, no, it's actually this. And, you get that conversation. And then that's where that change happens. And that's where collaboration happens, which is such a big thing in human society is collaboration. That's one thing we have over, I'd say, maybe not, because there's a lot of species out there that collaboratively work together.
Yeah,
but,
look at killer whales, bro. Those things are vicious monsters because they work together.
Yeah, but like humans, I think, have one of the most powerful collaborative forces of like any species, but we constantly choose to divide ourselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, humans, well, if you believe it, humans built the pyramids. So that is some insane teamwork.
Yeah.
Although, realistically, I know we're not a conspiracy podcast or anything. We'll
Yeah.
leave that to Jumpers Jump. But seriously, though, how did all these things happen, bro? How did the pyramids come about? How did Stonehenge come about?
Bro, it's just rocks.
Yeah, but how?
I could have built the pyramids.
Okay, calm down, buddy. That's a
but
bit.
They
of
had
an ego.
like people are like, I've seen this guy make a video where he was like, oh, if you moved one stone a day, the amount of stones it would take to make the pyramids is like, I don't know, 1,000,000 days or something like that. Some crazy figure. And I was just like, they weren't moving one stone in a day. They had hundreds of thousands of slaves working to make that stuff, hypothetically.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, it's very possible that it was just made like that.
Fair play.
But
how did we get here?
yeah, I don't know.
Oh, car show. Okay, go
Well,
back.
yeah, let's go
what
back to
were
the car
your
show.
thoughts on the car show?
I loved it. Honestly, I was so like we walked in and we saw the no, before we even got to the car show, what did we see?
Wait,
we
is
saw-
it fair to talk about what we saw there? Actually, no. I don't think that anybody who's watching this will go, right?
Yeah, and maybe this might be uploaded probably after.
No, it ends on the 24th. I'm uploading this tomorrow.
Oh, well. If you get this spoiled for you, sucks to be you.
I don't know. Just skip a little bit.
Yeah, just skip a little bit.
Fire
here.
away.
But before we even walked in, like on the side of the road, no, on my way, I saw a 911 Carrera S. And then we saw, what did we see parked outside that, like, was it a hotel or restaurant? What was it?
2 Lucios, a Lamborghini Urus, a Ferrari 458,
Yeah.
and a McLaren.
That was insane. Like, before we even got inside the venue, there were cars like that. Then we walk in, and the first thing they had was the pink Maserati, like, SUV for the Barbie movie.
Maserati.
Yeah, and then when you go up, You see, dude, I'm like forgetting all the car names.
It was a
right
red Ferrari.
now.
I don't know
I
which
don't remember which model. It
model,
was.
but then next to that there was a gray Ferrari Roma and a white Maserati MC20.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Like that was insane to see.
I feel like a lot of you won't get exactly what we're talking about, but one
You can like just
interesting
search
thing,
it up though.
obviously search it
Yeah.
up, but also another thing is to go out there and experience something new, because even if you're not into cars, it's cool to see what the world has to offer, because it doesn't even have to be just cars. It could be any niche hobby that you've never thought of being interested in before. Maybe if you go and look at it, you'll find something very interesting, because all of us started somewhere. In terms of cars, I wasn't even super invested in cars until like 2 years ago. But then when I started looking at it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So when you really dip your feet in the water, that's when you realize, hey, I kind of like swimming.
It's so crazy that I really learned everything. I only got into cars because I played Forza once.
Mhm.
I played Forza and I was like, damn, I'm having a lot of fun playing this game. And then I played and I played and I bought more cars and I bought more cars and I bought more cars. And then I got the steering wheel and dude, I was so excited. And one thing about that steering wheel is once you're there, you could sit inside a Ferrari 488, I believe, right?
488
Spider, right? So we sat in one and I have like the Ferrari steering wheel. And I've held that steering wheel in my hands when I drove on Forza. And now, real life, I got to sit down in a real Ferrari and hold that same steering wheel. And it's all the same buttons, everything. And I was just like, dude,
Oh, yeah, that's actually true.
it's
now
all
that I think
there,
about
right?
it, yeah.
And I was just sitting there and I was like, dude, like, I wanted that for so long because I felt the wheel, but I've never really felt the real thing. Right?
Yeah.
The real thing, it's a different story. And also, it's one thing that I love about it is that it kind of rekindled my passion for cars. Because I really kind of grew out of touch when I stopped playing games because I kind of didn't really play Forza. I didn't play anything.
Mhm.
So I started to kind of grow distant from cars. But when I went there and I just saw all these machines, I was just like, oh my God, they're more than just machines.
Yeah.
Like they feel so alive. And that was like, it was such a great experience. And it really made me also think back to my purpose. Because one day I want to be able to drive one of these cars.
Mhm.
And now I have that drive again because it's
Yeah.
like a spark went off again that relit the fire.
That's
You know?
crazy. That's crazy. Because when I was coming home from school today, I was thinking, man, what is a good way to put it? And I was thinking, talking about my own journey of finding my purpose. It was that spark.
Yeah.
It was that determination that gets lit in your soul, the deepest depths of your soul. When you see something, you're like, whoa. You feel it. And you're
Yeah.
like, I've never felt something like that before. Because it's the same thing for me. When I see something that one day I really want to achieve or have in my possession, I'm almost like my soul is practically drooling, saying, I need this, I need this, I
Yeah.
need this, I have to do this. That kind of passion that draws you towards something is more than just an interest. It's more than just a passion.
Yeah, like I can't describe the feeling I got sitting in that Ferrari or when I sat in the C8 and I just got to feel the wheel.
Mhm.
And I was just like, oh my God, man, one day I'll be able to drive something like this. And I was just like, and then I looked at prices and I was like, it's achievable.
Much
Like,
more achievable than you thought.
Yeah, they're crazy numbers, like 100, 200, 300, 400,000. Everybody's like, yeah, there's no way you're ever going to get a Ferrari. But then you put it into perspective and you really think that if I work hard, right now I'm a kid. If I really work hard for my whole life, is there really a chance that I won't get it? And I think that to myself and I'm like, no, if I really put my mind to it, if I keep this fire going, there's no way I will not drive one of those cars in the future.
I think it's learning to quantify your goals. Because if you always say, oh my God, it's a Lamborghini, it's a Ferrari, it's so out of reach, there's no way I can ever do it. Or let's say for you, it's watches. Like, oh my God, it's a Rolex, right? There's no way I'm going to be able to afford that one day. Look, I'm not spending $14,000 on a watch. That's crazy. But if you really break it down, if you work hard, you can make more than enough to buy all these things in your lifetime. But the question is, do you find it easy to work for these things?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what purpose is. It's like, hey, you wake up every morning, you get out of bed with the drive and passion and purpose to sacrifice some things for something greater than yourself. Because I'm willing to sacrifice the enjoyment in my early years to be able to do whatever I want later in life. That is something that
It's
matters
just
to me.
delayed gratification. That's all it is. It's instead of trying to say, I want this now. I want happiness now. I want my dopamine rush now. It's prolonging it. Is I want a bigger one in the future. I want something more valuable in the future. Because right now, as a kid, I'm mainly speaking to younger audiences right now. Because a lot of the time you feel lost in direction. because you don't know where you want to go. So instead, it's like, I'm just going to enjoy my life right now. But you need to understand that sometimes just enjoying your life, or people say enjoying their life as if you need to party to enjoy your life or do all these crazy things. Now, I'm not shaming you if you go out and party. That's okay. But to understand that there is happiness and beauty and progress is a very important aspect that not enough people talk about. It's all about you need to put your head down, get away from all the distractions and all the people, and just head down, work by yourself. It's going to be tough. You're going to hate your life, but you're going to be rich. Is that the life that you want to live? Reflect on that and think about it. Maybe you want to be rich. I want to be financially stable in my future. I'm not going to ever chide somebody that wants to be financially free. But I'm not going to sit here either and tell you that you have to suffer, that you have to sit through pain. Remember that with progress comes happiness. So don't always fixate on the negative aspects of progress just because everybody's telling you it has to be tough. If you have a purpose, you should smile that you took a step closer to that purpose. Because think about it. Imagine it's like climbing a mountain, right? With each step, you get a better view of the summit. And sometimes maybe you take a side route and you don't see the summit at all. But if you keep moving forward, keep moving up, you know that someday you'll come to where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that even if I got lost in that mountain, but I knew I was going up, I would still feel happy with each step because I know I'm moving towards what I'd like.
If you were to boil down this channel to a set of a few principles, kind of like our own version of the 10 Commandments, I kind of want to do that one day. We'll come up with a list of commandments that we stand for here on the channel. I think one of the biggest ones that has to be on that list is enjoying the journey. We have a whole episode on that, and I'm sure we'll cover it more in the future. But it's so sad to see how many people think that life has to be miserable for you to be successful.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
It's such a misconception.
You just have to work towards something, and that's why finding your purpose is important. So now the biggest question is obviously, I think everybody knows that you have to have a purpose in life. But to those people who don't, why do you need a purpose? Has anybody done research on this? What's the point of having a purpose? Why can't I just lay on the couch, relax all day, and say, this is my life, I'm okay with it? Well, first of all, ask yourself, do you really feel good about doing all that? Even if you were to sit there, stimulate your brain by watching TikTok, watching Netflix, and not paying attention at all, you're still not going to feel happy. You're still not going to feel fulfilled. So the question is, who discovered this first? Well, you could date it back all the way to people like Socrates, who gave themselves up and sacrificed themselves for a greater good. And honestly, that's what I think purpose is. Purpose is sacrificing one thing for something greater than yourself. Okay? Do you know the story of Socrates?
No, I don't. Enlighten me.
I'm not sure of his whole life story. I didn't do all that research before I decided to record this. But one thing that was very interesting about his life is he stood for a very specific set of values. He said, I believe that society should be this way. And when they said, those teachings are insane, you shouldn't be preaching that to other people, they threw him in jail. He then had an opportunity to escape, but to give up those principles, okay? And he said, no, I would rather stay here and stand for what I believe than be free and not follow them. Why is that? Why would you give up your own life in exchange for a set of beliefs that some other people may follow? Why? Because that's purpose right there. It's giving it up for something more important. Now, other people look at him. They say, oh my God, look, he stood for these values. That inspires me to stand for them too. It's not always just about other people. It's about yourself too. There's a famous psychiatrist by the name of Carl Jung. If you ever think about psychology, he will come to mind. I'm sure that many people in university study about him right now. And he said at the end of his career as a psychiatrist.
Wait. A psychologist or psychiatrist?
Did I say psychology?
I don't know.
Okay. Carl Jung was a psychiatrist.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait, what's the difference? If I'm being honest, I got no clue.
It's a good question.
Like, I feel like, you know what? This is a side tangent. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
we'll figure it out.
There was a famous psychiatrist by the name of Carl Jung. Okay. Everybody's heard of him. He's wrote crazy books and overall just a great guy. And he said that at the end of his career, over 1/3 of the patients he had did not have clinical issues with their brain. It was a lack of purpose. So 1/3 of people that felt like their life sucked and that they had an issue with their brain just didn't have something to dedicate their time to. They longed for that meaning. Because without that, what are you? It's like having a massive hole in your soul and you can't fill it with anything, right? It's just consistent meaninglessness without a purpose.
And one thing is that purpose, I don't think is so concrete.
Hmm.
People think that purpose is like a concrete thing, but I don't think it is. It goes back to the Golden Circle and Simon Sinek that we talked about on last episode, I think.
Yeah, we do.
Right? And the Golden Circle goes, why is in the middle, how, and then what. A lot of people only get to the what barrier. I want $1 million. That's what I want. Or maybe they'll even get to the how I want it. How do I want to get $1 million? I'm going to start a business. But why? Why do you want $1 million? Is it just to have the money to flex? Because that's not a real purpose. To just have money is not a purpose. To change something or to do something or to have an effect on the world, that is purpose. So with Socrates, people shouldn't have just followed what he said. They should have followed why he said it. They should have thought, what was his reasoning? Why has he done what he's done? Same way, a lot of people in religion, the most successful, spiritually successful religious people are people that understand why God or whoever you believe did what they did. People that just read the Bible and follow everything it says without thinking, why am I doing it? They're not really going to get anywhere. And there's a proverb, and it goes, just as a rat chases cheese without the understanding of a trap, fools chase knowledge without the understanding of misconception. So you chase something without knowing why. Because, for example, if I say, you know what, I'm going to go on a boat and I'm going to sail. So I take my boat and I throw it into the ocean and I hop in and I just let the tide take me. The only place I'm ending up is at the bottom of the ocean. Like, that's the real truth. Because there is no goal. There is no purpose. But if instead I say, I want to get to this place, there's right there that beeline. You know, the air current's going this way, so I got to shoot my trajectory a little bit this way. Then I go. I will end up at the other shore. So if you really boil it down, you need to understand why you're doing what you do. Because otherwise you're moving aimlessly. And moving aimlessly might be one of the worst things you can do in your life because you could walk in the complete opposite direction of where your purpose is. Now, I'm going to tell you that I guarantee it, every person, or I don't think anybody will ever shoot a direct shot to their purpose. Sometimes you're going to hit a current going the opposite direction. Sometimes you're going to make a wrong turn. But if you never lose sight of it, then you can never really lose your footing. Because if you continuously move to if you continuously see where you want to be, then wherever you go, you will find your way to that final position.
Damn, son. That was good. That was very good.
Did you like my proverb?
That was a very good proverb. And you want to know the funny thing about that?
What?
Well, first of all, that proverb was crazy. I sat here pondering it for a second. I was like, what does that mean? But then you elaborated it.
Wait, I
want to
ask, do you know who said it?
Do I know them?
Yeah, you know.
Is it a philosopher?
I'd say he's a philosopher.
Are they alive?
Yes.
What?
You know them very well.
Are they an author?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay. YouTuber?
Yes.
Okay. Give me the first letter.
N.
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No.
Do I watch them?
Yes, you do.
Like now?
Yeah.
Ryan Higa?
No.
Okay.
He doesn't. Well, I guess. Okay.
His YouTube channel started with
Yeah.
N. Okay, I have no idea. What?
Who do you know whose name starts with an N?
Who do I know whose name starts with an N? Oh, you?
Yeah.
What?
I wrote it.
You came up with that.
Yeah, I was sitting at you were sitting at the library, and I was like, yeah, I want to write a proverb. Well, no, I was reading Confucius, and then I sat there, and then I was like, dude, I was thinking about something. I don't know what I was thinking about. I think I was thinking about purpose. That's why I really wanted to talk about this episode, because I was like, damn. And then I thought about it, because no. Oh, I'm trying to remember. What was it? No, well, we were talking about something, about chasing something, and then I was like, you don't want to do it the wrong way. because and I said just as a rat chases cheese without the knowledge of a trap, you too could chase some goal and then get trapped, right? Oh, okay, now I remember. We were talking about the Illuminati. Okay, like listen, all right. One of my friends picked up a book about the Illuminati.
There's a book about it?
Yeah, and then he's like, dude, I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna I'm gonna understand everything.
Oh, it was
And I was
Kevin,
like,
wasn't it?
well, yes, it was.
Okay.
And I was like, well, what if they wrote that book to misguide you, right? And then he's like, nah, is that like maybe? And then I was like, see, but he's like, it could be knowledge, and I'm like, yeah, but you might chase that knowledge and end up right in their grasp, right where they want you. Like I was kind of joining in on his conspiracy theory. I'll admit it. So I was telling him that book is like the cheese. You're chasing that knowledge, but in the end, the Illuminati is trapping you.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we're all just rats to the Illuminati, basically, setting cheese everywhere for us to trap ourselves in.
Well, I mean, that's a topic for a whole.
But yeah, that's
day.
just a big conspiracy theory. But that is where I learned my problem.
You know what? I tip my hat off to you if I had a hat because that's kind of crazy. That I thought that was actually something that like Aristotle said.
Dude,
I was genuinely
all
impressed.
it's all in like the way you write it too.
That's
like
true.
The wording.
Yeah.
But I thought of it and I was very happy about it.
I'm very happy.
I thought it was a very good way of like explaining why purpose is such an important.
You know, one other thing I thought was very interesting when you said that that's why you wanted to talk about purpose. You told me you wanted to talk about purpose last night. So less than 12 hours ago is when you were like, hey, we should talk about purpose. And I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, no, it's a little over 12 hours.
Yeah.
That you said, hey, we should talk about purpose tomorrow. And I was like, you know what? Sure. And now here we are recording. And that also made me think about something interesting because I was listening to a podcast earlier today. And don't get me wrong, I think it's great to edit and make it the best content you can possibly make. And also if something goes wrong, like for example, if the camera died or something, then you have to make cuts and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's obvious or not, but we do this whole episode every single week in one take. We don't cut anything out. We don't edit anything. It's just one continuous conversation.
The only thing we edit is like images in.
That's we don't take anything out or put any extra content in that isn't like a visual to help illustrate what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very interesting because that's how you know that we were kind of meant to do this. Right? It flows effortlessly. It's not something I have to sit here, brainstorm for hours, or study to try and understand. I just know. And it just comes from the depths of my soul. I don't need to sit here and find it deep within me to say, what am I going to talk on the podcast? What am I going to talk about on this week's episode? What am I going to do? I have no idea. I don't get stressed out about it. I just feel happy doing it. I just feel it comes naturally to me. That's what I like about it.
I tell a lot of people, especially people that struggle with like public speaking, because that's a big issue in today's society is public speaking. A lot of people are anxious about it because they have a hard time communicating. Find somebody that you're close to, like a good friend, and a subject that you guys can talk about. Because, like, we kind of live together, so I feel like it's kind of a cheat code because we talk about everything, and that's why our conversations make so much sense. But also, like, this is tips. Like, this is straying away from just positivity and tips for life. Is if you ever want to get better at public speaking, input good speaking mannerisms and techniques into daily conversation. Because one thing we had that I'm not sure if you guys picked up on in the early episodes was saying right. We used to say right after every single sentence.
I mean, we still kind of do
We
a
still
little
say
bit.
it pretty often, but I remember listening to a clip of me speaking, and like I heard myself say it like 10 times after every single sentence. I was like, oh my God, this is brutal to listen to. But now I've like heard it and I improve upon it. But then I realized that when we had regular conversations, I was saying right after every single sentence. And that just translates over to your talk. So if you want to practice, speaking fluently, articulately, it's kind of ironic that I, butchered the pronunciation when talking about it.
You know, the funny thing about that is the
yeah.
way you just said that, it really sounded like you just swore.
I did realize that.
That's a very
I swear
interesting.
I didn't, guys. Don't worry.
Get it. You swear you didn't.
All right.
It's a very
well.
interesting
Let's
episode.
hop off this side tangent with a story, actually, and it's a very famous story. I'm gonna bring us back, okay?
Okay.
But this is a very, very famous story. I think most people have probably heard of it. But it's about the kid who does judo, but he only has one arm.
Okay.
Have you heard this story?
No, talk to me. Tell me the
so,
story.
There's a young boy, and he wants to do judo, but he only has one arm. He only has his right arm. And he goes to this judo master. He's like, I want to compete in this tournament. Can you teach me judo? And the master says, of course. And the master teaches him, but he only teaches him one move. Just one move, that's all. And then as the tournament nears, the kid asks the master, he's like, don't I need to learn any other moves? And he's like, no, this is the only move that you'll need. So they perfect this move. And then he goes to the tournament, uses his move, takes down one opponent, takes down two, three, goes to the finals, the exact same move, and he wins. And he goes to his master and he asks, why did you only teach me one move? And how is it possible that I won the tournament with only one move? And the judo master said, well, this move, one of the best moves in judo, is only counterable by one defense. And that defense is to grab the opponent's left hand. His greatest weakness became his greatest strength. So I think that where you falter can guide you to where you should be. So when you reflect and you see the problems in your life, I think that those problems are a direct arrow towards where you need to go. Sometimes you'll look back and you'll see the mistakes that you made. But if you take those mistakes and you fix them, and you choose to not take those same missteps in the future, you will always move towards your higher purpose, or you will get a clearer vision of what you were meant to do.
That was a beautiful story.
I know,
I'm not gonna lie,
I really
did
love
not know
that story.
Where did you hear that?
I've heard it everywhere, man.
Really, I've never heard of
everywhere.
it. That was a really good story. And you want to
Yeah.
know another interesting thing I saw about you?
Mm.
When you got into the storytelling mode, you became the character. You know why?
But
You said he only has one hand. Every single hand gesture you did
I
was,
was
with
with
your
my
right
right
hand.
hand,
That's
yeah.
all you did. Now, granted, you kind of do that in other
I do
conversations.
that very often. But
But I think that was pretty cool.
that was cool.
This is
And it's
kinda
a
crazy.
really nice story, though, because I think a lot of people are so fixated on their own fallacies and problems. And you don't like to look at yourself in a good image. And also because we talked about this before, and I really like it, is that you're always fixated on other people's perfection and your own problems. So, and it's such a clear thing because people only perpetuate their good side. So it's so hard to love yourself because you see your good and bad side, but other people, you only see their good side, and oftentimes. So it's very difficult for us to really be happy of who we are. But I think that if you choose to let your mistakes be guidance towards a purpose, they become happier memories. Your failures become part of life. Like I remember the first time that I lost a Taekwondo tournament. That was soul crushing for me. It was one of the saddest days of my life as a kid because I really was so hell bent on always winning. But it taught me that winning isn't everything. That being the best isn't everything. It taught me that what's important is trying your best, which is kiddish advice, if that's the one way to put it. But it's so brilliant. Is that's all about giving it all that you have. It's not about what comes out of it. It's about what you put in.
It's very true. You want to know another story that I heard today that was about purpose?
Fire away.
This one's much more dark than the judo one. But during World War II, there was a Jewish psychiatrist as well, okay? And he was actually sent to Auschwitz, all right? And when he was in the concentration camp, he was surrounded by fellow inmates, all wrongly put there, never knowing if they were going to get out. All of them, of course, lived for the purpose of seeing their family again, of going back to their normal life. But he realized that when some of his inmates gave up on that purpose, when they said, I'm not making it out of here, they died within the next few days. Why? Because once the mind gave up, the body gave up as well. And that's crazy because you never know what would have happened. Because that psychiatrist who never lost his purpose, who said, I'm going to get out of here, he got out alive. And he lived to tell this story. So the moral is, if you live with no higher purpose, with no North Star to your life, what happens? You fall. And that's why it's important to define where you want to go, to define what you're built for. And it's funny because with today's day and age of social media, we're told, go to school, get a degree, get a good job, build a family, make a lot of money. That's your purpose. But the reason why I think that's fallible is, what if those things don't work out for me? What if I go to school and I don't like it? What if I get a job but I don't like it? What if I can't find the right person for me to build a family? What do I do then? Do I just live aimlessly until that happens, until all of a sudden it comes together? I don't think so. I don't think that's fair. But on the flip side, what if all of that does work out for me, but I still don't feel complete? What do I do? So, what I think purpose is like I mentioned earlier, it's sacrifice. Carl Jung, like I mentioned earlier, that psychiatrist, he said there are two ways to deal with not having purpose in life. The first is to help somebody else in distress, or as he put it, help your neighbor. Who is your neighbor? Anybody that is going through suffering, anybody who's hungry, anybody who's anxious, anybody who's depressed. Now, why does helping somebody else give you purpose? I mentioned earlier, purpose is about sacrifice. It's about self-sacrifice. When you find something that is bigger than you, it's much easier to continue living. It's easier to get up every morning and say, these people need me. I got to go out and do these things. And it's a story that there was what's his name? Tim Kennedy, the guy on Chris Williamson's podcast who recently uploaded that video of them talking because he worked in the army, right? He said that one of the biggest problems in this generation is that a lot of us don't have purpose. A lot of us don't know where we're going. A lot of us don't know what to do. And Chris said, well, to all these kids out here who are distracted by social media, distracted by games, distracted by women, what do? How do they find their purpose when there's all these cheap things out here? You know what he said? It had nothing to do with building yourself. It had nothing to do with becoming successful on your own. It was service. Because a lot of the guys that go to the military, they also don't have a purpose. Think about it. Some people, yes, they certainly go to the military with the idea of, hey, I want to die for my country. I want to go out there and help save lives. That's what I want to do. But a lot of people also go there and say, I don't really know what else I want to do with my life. So you know what? I'll go here. Those people come back stronger, right? They come back saying, hey, I made a difference in the world and I helped other people. When you find that, it fills that hole. It helps you say, hey, life has meaning now because other people need me.
I think that other people is such a big point because having those relationships in life, I don't think it's fulfilling enough to just be by yourself. Like, I think you should be a full person yourself. You should be capable of being on your own. But to have others around you is great. And I just thought about it. It's a quote from Uncle Iroh. Again, going back to it. But he says, while it is always best to believe in oneself, a little help from others can go a long way. And it's when he's speaking with the thief who tried to steal from him. So in this episode, there's a thief who tries to steal from him, and he doesn't seem like the thieving type. Iroh knocks him down, and he sits down and has a tea with him. And he says that, you could be this in life. And then the thief says, everybody in my life always said I was going to be a failure. So I feel like that's what I've turned out to be. But Iroh says that you sometimes need that little push from other people. It's good. It's great to be able to push yourself. But sometimes just having another person out there that might be relying on you to go can really lead to you succeeding in your purpose. Now, I'd say a lot of people, a lot of young entrepreneurs or young people getting rich lately, a lot of their drive has been for their parents. I've seen a lot of people, they retire their parents. And their parents are relying on it. Their parents are tired, they've been working hard. They've been giving you all this stuff throughout your life. And they owe it to them. And they go back and they give it back. And that's a big point of purpose. That's why they're able to do what they do. That's why I think a lot of the influencers that go out there and say, hey, you should, do this because you could help people. That drives people. That purpose drives you. Purpose is the engine of your car. Let's go to the analogy of you being a car. Your body is just the shell. Maybe your brain's the steering wheel. But your soul and your purpose is in that engine. It gets lit by motivation and kept running by discipline. So a car's not going to move without an engine. Believe it or not. I think that might be true. Or even if it does, it's going to be moving at a real slow pace. So you want to light that engine. Or you want to first step, find that engine. Find your purpose. Find what you are destined to do. Find what you would love to do. Because oftentimes you chase something that you're not meant to do. You're a Bugatti. Don't put an inline 6 in your engine. Find your W16, right? Going back to the auto show, gotta
It's
connect
valid.
it all.
It's valid.
But that means put a supercar engine in the supercar body that you have, or in the supercar soul that you have. Find the right purpose. That's the big takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
And don't take somebody else's purpose and put it into your own car, right? Find your own. That's why a lot of the people that say it's just about being a millionaire, is that really your goal though? I don't think money is the only thing in this world. Maybe you want a nice life that isn't full of riches. Maybe you want to pursue a life of adventure. Maybe you want to go camping in Alaska. You don't need to be a millionaire to do it. And that's not what you want from life. So why are you trying to chase it? Because somebody else told me to. That's a big fallacy with humans, is the sentence of because somebody else told me to. Instead, do what you want to do. And I'm not saying go out there and do crime, but when it comes to purpose and your life, why are you concerned with what everybody else is telling you to do? If everybody in your life is telling you to be a doctor, but you hate it. You spent 1 year in medical school, you hate it. Every part of your life sucks. You don't even look forward to being a doctor. Yet you do it. And then you know what? Maybe you become a doctor. Maybe you get all the money in the world. Are you really going to be fulfilled doing a job you hate just because it's paying well? Money is not reward. Money is just an effect that comes with the true reward of hitting your mark, of reaching your purpose. That was a very long solo tangent.
Very nice. Very nice. I think it's good, though, because if you have that idea, fully explain it. Don't just give me the half and be like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, this is kind of what I mean, but I don't want to take too much time, so I'm not going to explain it. No, the whole purpose
Wow.
of this podcast is to give insights, to give wisdom, and to explain it fully. And this is an analogy I was thinking about earlier. Like you were saying, money isn't everything. We try to find purpose in material things. I'm going to buy this Lambo. I'm going to buy this Rollie. I'm going to have millions of dollars in the bank. That's great. But if it doesn't align with something that already exists, i.e. your purpose, it doesn't work. Think about trying to fill a colander with water. What happens? That's trying to dump money into that hole of I have no purpose.
That's crazy. That's
You
a
pour
great
water
analogy.
in and it just leaks out anyways, and you're left with an empty bowl. But when you find that purpose now, you've found something to dedicate all your energy towards. So you've swapped the colander out for a bowl that will actually retain all the effort you put in. It'll have some value at the end of it. You'll feel fulfilled. Why? Because purpose is you finding what you were meant to do and doing it to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And now there's a YouTube channel I'm going to recommend to you guys. His name is I'm Beggar, okay? He makes some phenomenal videos. And honestly, you know what? Wait, I'm going to get into that after. But first, let's talk about him. So the reason why I really like his channel is he makes good videos and he makes inspirational videos. And one video that he made was talking about finding your purpose. And of course, I watched it. And he said that he opened the video up with a quote. And then right after that, he said, there are two types of people in this world. People who wake up like this, and it's the guy jumping out of bed, flexing his muscles like this, and a massive word, yes, with an exclamation point is behind him, with like this heroic sound effect behind him. So it's saying people are excited to get out of bed. People are excited to get going. And then he says the second type of person is like this. Frowny face, just completely drifting away and just static noise in the background. And it just says, I don't want to be here, or no, or something like that, right? And that's true. I think that you can determine your life by the state you wake up in. You know why? Because that's the most true version of yourself. There's no external effect on how you wake up. It's all in here. It's all in here. How do you feel when you wake up? Because this morning when I woke up, yeah, I didn't sleep a lot, but I worked hard yesterday. I'm going to work hard today, and I have a purpose. I have somewhere I want to be. I have things I want to do today. So when I wake up at 6 or 7 in the morning, I'm jumping out of my bed to get started. Why? Because I have a purpose. I have that North Star. But for those people that don't have it, life feels meaningless. And that's why it's important to find it. Because when you do find it, you'll feel it. You'll really feel it when you start to get out of bed and say, I'm excited to be here. There are things I need to do. So look for that. Look for the thing that makes you feel happy. Look for that thing that you would give anything to achieve.
Indubitably, man. And I really like the beginning part about the getting out of bed. That reminded me of something where the other day or yesterday I was at the gym with my friend, and we were doing the cardio bikes, and we do it like right next to the window so we can see outside because we really like the outside. We don't listen to music. We just talk about life and bike. And we were sitting there, and he looked down and he told me, he's like, man, I don't like the gloomy days, right? Because it was a gloomy day, clouds covering the sky. He's like, it feels like so much more sad. And then I told him, I was like, but like think about it, on the gloomy day, after this really hard workout, you need to go and step out into the nice, cool breeze. You get to feel it, going across your skin. On the gloomy days, there's not that many people around. It's a much quieter day, isn't it? You can hear nature. You can hear the beauty of the world around you.
Mhm.
There's less disturbance. And I think there's beauty. When it's sunny, you feel energetic, you feel vibrant. But of the 2 days, is there not beauty to be found in each? On the sunny day, you step outside, you're getting melted like a popsicle. On the sunny day, when you go out there, there's tons of people everywhere, voices going everywhere. You can't hear any stillness. Now, either of those could both be positive and negative. It's just down to how you interpret it.
Mhm.
Same way getting up in the morning, either you interpret it as, oh my God, I got to break my sleep. Or you think about it as, I get up and go do things. That's why I've been waking up really early lately. And I'd encourage a lot of you to try it. Because first off, my days have felt so long. Like I've been getting up at like 6 o'clock. That's not that crazy early, right? 6 o'clock is a moderate time that a lot of people get up at. But get up at 6, I go to the gym, I work out, play table tennis, go to the mall, maybe go to Vancouver, do all these things. And I feel like at 1 o'clock, I'm like, bro, I should be in bed right now. Because it feels as though it's been such a long day. And you do so much that you feel so happy. Like my legs, I remember we went to Vancouver and we were coming back, transiting. And my legs are done. They hurt so bad. We just hit a brutal leg day. I'm so tired. But then I didn't really feel that pain. I just felt happy. I smiled the whole way back because I was like, dude, I had this whole day and I did all these things. I moved so much closer to my purpose. So even though I feel all this pain, even though I'm stuck on this SkyTrain, standing up, my legs are in so much pain, my feet hurt, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I still smile. Because I look to the future like, oh my God, I am moving towards my purpose. That made me so happy. That brought so much light upon my day just by getting things done. And although those things hurt, they made me tired. They made me feel really bad physically. Mentally, I felt so much better than I could ever imagine because I moved towards that purpose, because I took steps to where I want to go. In the same way in your life, when you make steps, stop thinking they have to be bad. Studying doesn't have to be bad. Work doesn't have to be bad. University, high school, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be bad. You choose, you dictate what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, like people go to a job and at the end of the week, like, you think, oh my God, I hated my job today. Or for example, with me working at McDonald's, people consider it to be one of the worst jobs. Well, maybe not one of the worst jobs.
I mean, it's pretty down on the
people
list.
can say it's a low level job. It's an entry level job. You got to deal with annoying customers, but I get to speak to a lot of fun ones,
Mm-hmm.
right? I get a 50% off discount. That's pretty cool, right? I get to talk to my coworkers who are all interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
So there I find positivity because I'm doing things that I actually enjoy. I'm finding enjoyment in those things. So instead of my purpose of going to work being, I got to make my money and get out, I make my purpose, I'm going to go there and talk to people. Go there and have a good time. That's a purpose. Going there and being happy. Going there and enjoying it. That's something to look forward to. But looking forward to something at the end of the week like money, it's not real. Especially if you sit there and you're like, okay, all I got to do is sit here for, my 8-hour shift and then get out. What did you do in that 8-hour shift that could have been better towards your goal? Because think about it. One guy goes in sad, other guy goes in happy. At the end of the day, both of them get paid for an 8-hour shift. Which one do you think is having a better life? The one that went in happy or the one that went in sad?
One that went in happy.
Exactly. You both go into the same scenario. So why choose to let yourself feel down?
That's a very good analogy, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, because you are getting paid in money the same amount, but what you're getting paid in joy and satisfaction with life and fulfillment is very different from just
Exactly.
money. And like you were saying, studying doesn't have to be bad. That was one important thing because I was going to open the episode up with this. I literally wrote it down as one of my introduction topics because the reason why I found purpose so powerful in the past couple of days is I have been a serial not studier. Okay, I despise studying at all. Like I do, not that I don't like studying. It's just that I like doing it my way. I like finding my own way to study. So for me, I finally found what works for me. It took me a little bit for this course to figure out, hey, how do I actually learn this stuff? But going over my professor's notes sucked. Like his notes are good, but it just doesn't help for me. Like I'll sit there like this. Oh my God, yes, carbon has this many valence electrons, blah, blah, blah. Boring. But then what I did was I looked at the list of topics that are going to be on my exam. What did I do? I went on YouTube and I watched organic chemistry tutor videos for 5 hours. That's the crazy thing. I'm the guy who can't sit and study notes for a couple hours a day. But all of a sudden, the past 4 days, I had no problem waking up, brushing my teeth, and sitting down and studying before I even ate breakfast. Every day I woke up and studied for an hour before I ate. And that worked for me. So find what works for you as well, because that's how you'll become successful. It's it's what you enjoy. How do you move towards your goal? Because let me tell you, studying isn't always fun, but when I do it in a way that is enjoyable, it's much more fulfilling. I feel good about my life because I'm actually moving towards what I'm doing and I don't feel miserable doing it.
Yeah, and because people think that we live in like a cookie cutter world where everybody can fit in that same mold, where we're all the same sheet, we can all be the same.
Mhm.
But that's just not true. The way one person studies is completely different than another person. It's what probably one of Prince Ye's most famous video where he sues the school system.
Yeah.
He says that if a doctor prescribed the exact same medication to all of his patients, the results would be tragic. And that's exactly what happens in school. Is that all these kids with completely different ways of learning are taught the exact same thing in the exact same way and are expected to learn it and study it in the same way. But that's foolish because all of our brains act differently. So instead of focusing on how somebody else is doing it, how am I going to do it? How does it work for me? How do I make it work? That's one thing, is to make it work. Instead of sitting there like, okay, it doesn't work for me there that way, I guess I can't do it. Why aren't you actively looking for a way to get it done the way that you want it? Get it done in a way that makes you happy. And just because another person's way doesn't work doesn't mean that there is no way to get there.
Mhm.
A summit has hundreds of routes that get you there. Just because the one through the forest isn't for you doesn't mean that there isn't a paved one a couple feet to the left.
Yep.
Instead of sitting there like, oh my God, there's so many boulders in this path, I guess I can't get up. Walk side to side. Look around. Open your eyes to the possibilities. That's a quote from Boomy. I just realized. You gotta
What?
open your mind to the possibilities.
Oh yeah.
That's what he says. You gotta think like a mad genius. Look around. Because there is multiple ways to get to the same destination.
Mhm.
Because think about it, a destination is a point, but a journey is a path. And paths can take any shape or form. So do not get discouraged just because one path isn't working. If you have a purpose, I guarantee I guarantee you that there is another way to get there. So stop sitting here and saying, well, there's a boulder in my path. Guess I can't do anything. I'm going to sit here for the rest of my life. Or maybe, even worse, I'll roll back down the hill. Instead, say, you know what? Maybe this path doesn't work, but let me look around. Keep walking around the base of that mountain because I guarantee you that you will find another path to the same summit.
God damn. That was very solid, man. Let's go. Honestly, I feel so much better. I felt so much better in the past couple of days because for a while, if I'm being honest, I kind of felt a little lost. And that's what I think a lot of us feel. A lot of people nowadays feel lost. They feel as if you're drifting aimlessly in the ocean. And the funny thing is, I was going to use this as the quote of the week, but I found something a little bit more deep. So I decided to use that one instead. So I'll drop this one here now. A wise man once said, if you don't know what port you're sailing to, how do you know what wind is favorable? Who said that?
One of the Trent twins. I
Yes,
don't remember
sir.
which one.
Now, granted, they didn't come up with a quote or anything, but
Yeah.
I've heard it several times before. But that quote was really good because be honest with yourself. Do you know where you're going? Maybe not. Maybe you don't. That's okay because purpose is not something that can be easily rationalized. How do you sit here and think, yep, I'm going to be a doctor? Like, no, it doesn't just come to you like that. It happens naturally. It happens almost supernaturally, I'll say.
Yeah.
Nobody really figures out where does this stuff come from? Where does that eureka moment come from? Where does that inspiration to do something come from? Where? Nobody can tell you.
That's crazy to me because I guess it's been about a year and a half, I picked up playing table tennis. And I feel like that's such a random niche sport that not a lot of people don't play it. That you wouldn't think a lot of people play it seriously. You don't see it that often. It's such a small thing. And it all started from one of my friends being like, hey, we should play. And now we've gone to a provincial tournament because of it. Granted, we didn't do well in it, but we did
Just
go.
your first time, so
right?
that's fine.
That's crazy to me. That all of that started from him asking me one time. He's like, one time, come and play with me. And we did it. And then we did it again and again and again and again and again. And that built a hobby for me. Since I opened my mind to the possibilities of doing different things, I've picked up a lot of hobbies. Like I picked up cooking, watches, cars, table tennis, hockey, right? I do a lot of things, drumming. These are all things that I've picked up just because I decided to try. And I love all these things. It makes me happy. So you will find, and I found my purpose because I decided to venture into entrepreneurship. That's where I got my purpose. So if you sit here and you never tried anything, then how are you going to find your purpose? Because like you said, it doesn't just pop in out of thin air. It's something you experience and you're like, damn, I really want to do this. Like, for example, with us, this podcast, this only came from us having conversations. We're like, you know what? Maybe we could give this out to the world. Maybe we could have these conversations recorded so that other people could hear this. That's what happened with us. That's where this started from.
That's
From trying something.
That's kind of crazy because
Right.
realistically, that happened because every now and then when we'd come home late from some place where if I had to pick you up or we went somewhere, we'd come back. Sometimes we'd literally sit in the car in the driveway
Yeah.
and talk for an hour or an hour and a half. That's like that's more than a whole podcast episode right
Exactly.
there.
And we just did that because.
Exactly.
And look at where it led us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're too afraid to try anything, you won't be able to find your purpose because it doesn't appear. It's not concrete. You won't just bump into it. You don't just stumble into it. The same way you will not see the summit if you never take a step outside of your house.
Mm-hmm.
There is no internet to search up your purpose. There is no purpose search engine.
Yeah.
There is no chat GPT that's going to tell you what you should do with your life. Instead, find it. Look for it. Try new things. And one day, you will come to a view of the summit and a view of your purpose.
God damn, you are absolutely cooking this episode. I'm actually very impressed. Good job, man.
Yeah, I
But
know.
You know something insane that just came to my mind?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how earlier, I don't know if you remember, but earlier I said that Carl Jung said there were two ways to find your purpose.
Yeah.
What was the first one?
I don't remember.
Brother.
I'm going to quick fire that.
Okay.
My memory's kind of bad.
Well, the first one I said was service. Help other
Oh, yeah,
people.
yeah,
Help
okay.
your neighbor, right? Somebody who's in distress, help them, and that will give your life purpose. You know what the second one was?
What?
The second one was be open.
Really?
I'm not even joking. On everything I love, those are the two principles. The first one
And
is
on
help
everything
others.
we love, we don't tell each other our ideas before
Yeah, no.
recording an episode.
It's always because you want to know the crazy thing? What's
What?
that method called? It's called the ping pong method.
What?
Yeah,
Actually?
where you have an idea, you say it, and then you go back and forth talking about it,
Ah.
and then you switch to the next person's idea back and forth. It's literally a conversation topic. And funny enough, you were saying that you
That's
started playing table
crazy.
tennis.
Wow.
Crazy
I
coincidences,
know.
huh?
It is.
Anyways, going back to it, right? Carl Jung's second thing was to be open. Now, I watched the video. I'm Beggar's video. That's the video that helped me see what this meant. And in the video, he used a very good example. The example is this. We're all built with antennas. We're all built to receive signals. The same way our cell phone receives signals from many sources, we were built to receive signals from either the universe, God, whatever you believe, on what our purpose is. But we've crowded it with so much noise and interference from this thing here that we can't find that signal anymore. We can't hear it. It just gets blocked because of the interference from other sources. So to find your purpose, you need to be open. You need to be a receiving antenna. You need to turn that thing back on so that you can find what was meant for you. Because if you're sitting here numbing yourself with this all day, every day, of course you're not going to find your purpose. So step outside, do something new, and turn that antenna back on so you can find your signal, find your purpose, and live a meaningful life.
And just quickly to end that thought off, I had a quick little saying.
Go ahead.
The saying is, as a cherry blossom tree sheds its flower for sweet fruit, you too must let go of beautiful things to create space for new experiences.
Damn, who said that?
Me. I also wrote that one.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hey.
that was freaking solid, man.
Yeah,
Let's go.
You know, I was that was also at the library. But
Maybe you should spend more time in the library.
maybe I should. I think it elevates my intelligence level. Like my IQ just
Skyrocket.
oops. Sorry, Mike. that was bad. See?
Oh God.
But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 716, the Brighter Horizons podcast.
Getting a bit ahead of himself.
Yeah, maybe. But before you go, as always, it is time for quote
Of
the
week.
Hiram.
All right, quote of the week. You will not just reason yourself into the meaning and purpose of life. You will act yourself into the meaning and purpose of life by breaking the shell of egoism and allowing sunshine into your life. And that quote comes from Fulton Sheen, an American bishop who was known for preaching. So, Catholic Church guy who came up with this saying. And I thought it was really interesting because that combines the two things. On one hand, I guess technically it's mainly focused towards the second thing,
Yeah.
right? It's, you need to go out there and try new things. You need to be open to it. And that's when you'll find your purpose. You're not just going to research it, like you said, in a search engine and find, oh, it said I should be a doctor. Great. Just like you wouldn't surround your personality around a BuzzFeed quiz or whatever they call those things.
Yeah.
BuzzFeed tests, I don't know. But if you were to do one of those and say, oh, your personality type says you're an angry loser, are you going to believe that? No. You wouldn't surround your life around that. So instead of trying to look it up and find what it is, just go out and do something. And then when your antenna is open, when you help other people, that purpose, that North Star, that burning fire for what calls you and says, hey, do this, do this, do this, it will make itself clear to you.
And with that, we would like to conclude the episode. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end. Make sure that you go out there. You either serve the people around you or you be open to new ideas and find your purpose. And with that, make sure you live a positive life, y'all. Peace out.